Group B, a rally series known for two things: its insane cars and the inherent disregard for human safety. It's for that reason that the series got canned after only 4 years, but those 4 years gave us some of the most beloved cars in all of motorsport. After designing an enthusiast rally car and building a Group A rally car, it's finally time to take on the challenge of building a Group B car and besting some of BeamNG's best rally cars. The regulations governing Group B were slim. The FIA made it their goal for Group B to be as accessible to manufacturers as possible. So as a result, there were little to no limits on what companies could show up with. The comprehensive list is as follows. Minimum weight and maximum tire width were both dictated by engine displacement. Engines with forced induction must multiply their displacement by a factor of 1.4. Cars must have a closed cabin and be equipped with a roll cage. Cabin must fit 2 seats side by side. And finally, manufacturers must produce 200 homologation spec cars, or if you're Lancia, just make 100 and take the surveyor out to lunch. Our challenger for this video is going to be the Ibishu Covet, specifically the Turbo Rally variant. This model, the Covet, is essentially a Peugeot 205 T16, except rear-wheel drive. For some reason, Beam likes to make a bunch of Group A and B equivalent rally cars, anything but all-wheel drive. So with the help of a mod linked in the description below, our Covet will be all-wheel drive to match the 205 T16. This should be our best chance at comparing our build to that of a true rally monster. Let's get into the first stage.
There it is, over crest. Best of luck. 3, 2, 1, go. Over crest.
Oh, great launch off the line here. This is a car you really just gotta slam the throttle with. Forget everything else. Maybe not braking though. Coming in a little hot. Okay, now we're heading into one of my favorite sections on this stage. This is really where we get a look at how well these cars handle speed over dirt. And over the hump, holding fourth here. It's sketchy. Yep, just a bit. Might be holding a bit too much speed here. No, I screwed that up. So yeah, I don't think we lost too much time there. Try and make that up on the tarmac here.
Square left, 50, flat right, 60, 6 left, over crest, and 6 right.
Yeah, strangely, I'm struggling to keep control over the car on the tarmac.
Crest, 50,
Heading back into the dirt, it feels a lot more at home here.
6 right, 70,
Oh,
right short,
oh no, no.
flat left,
Oh, why do I say these things? It's okay.
caution, 6 right.
Yeah, I gotta make sure I'm driving with a lot more caution than that.
Cut, narrow,
Especially because I know it's real easy to blow by this corner right up here. Do not want to make that mistake again. Let me get hard on the throttle.
30, 5 left, and 3 right long opens, don't cut, caution, 3 left, narrows, bumpy, 80, caution, 6 right short, 6 right short,
Another tight left-hander up here into what is the shortest tarmac section ever.
4 right, don't cut, 40, 5 right, bumpy, 50, 4 right, over crest, 30, caution,
Oh yeah,
3 left,
they were not lying about bumpy.
crest,
At least this
right
car
left,
handles pretty well.
narrows, 70, caution, square left, over crest, 40, 1 left, narrowed, over bump, 4
Ooh, I
right,
cut that short.
30,
I did not realize how slow I'm going right now. But fortunately, we're coming up onto another pretty fast section.
4 left, 90,
And I mean, the Covet just grips insanely well on dirt. I think for my car, I might have to just throw on the same wheels because I am enjoying this
5 right,
too much.
40, caution, 4 left,
And making sure not to push it too hard because I know it gets tricky up here.
100,
Oh, caught my right tire a little bit. Oh crap. Almost understeered straight to that pole. That would have been bad.
right, don't cut, 30,
Oh, and then coming out a little bit too hot here.
200,
Oh, and I stalled. I stalled again. Okay, look, in my defense, I have not been using my shifter in quite a while. But I just got to make sure I can finish out this lap without any more big mistakes like that.
50.
That doesn't mean driving slow, just got to be a little bit better about my braking.
Caution.
No, it's too bad I'm terrible at controlling this thing on the tarmac.
Left short.
I really don't remember where this next corner is, so sitting top of third.
Bumpy.
Ooh, a little hot. Using the bank, actually, to carry a bit more speed. It's difficult to go flat out here.
Jump.
Really putting suspension to the test.
Narrows. 90. One right. Don't cut. Over finish. 60.
Alright, just one last corner. And across the line.
Good job. Stop and stop control.
Alright, I think I can live with a 356. It would have been a little quicker without the driver error, but in rally, you don't get do-overs. I think we just got to put some emphasis in the power and make sure the suspension can handle all these bumps, and we'll have a fast time for sure. But let's get into automation. Alright, we're going to be starting the build off with the engine this time. It's going to be very heavily based around the 1.8 liter Peugeot 205 T16's engine, which means copying the bore of 83 millimeters and stroke of 82 millimeters for a displacement of exactly 1775 cubic centimeters. It is also a 16-valve dual overhead cam, and we'll throw on an aluminum head. The internals are also going to be all forged, as seen a lot in Group B. Then we're also going to be copying the Peugeot's compression of 7.0 to 1, which is generally a good range for a turbo engine. And then I'm also just going to assume that cam profile and spring stiffness should be pretty high. It's generally how most of my builds go. And then we'll aim for around 8,500 RPM. This is obviously going to be a turbocharged engine, which means giant intercooler. And once again, I'm just going to assume, a larger turbo would not hurt. And I believe the last aspect of the Peugeot's tuning we're going to steal is the 20 PSI boost limit. We'll go ahead and make that change. And I believe a lot of these rally engines were using mechanical fuel injection, and I also just wanted to have ITBs. It just looks so good. Another neat fact is that most of these cars were running high-octane leaded fuel, so of course we had to do the same. And finally, let's end out with long headers and essentially just a straight piped exhaust. And just to give you guys a glimpse into the final tuning, I noticed it would be ideal to raise the red line to 9,000 RPM and adjust the cam profile so that with tight gearing, it would keep us near peak power. But I mean, the turbo spool after 8,500 RPM anyway, so we should have no worries about power. Now that we're on to the actual car, the only thing notable here is the corrosion-resistant steel, because of course, we're going to be off-road. I'll also go with a front transverse, but we'll do something funny with the engine later. And also, not to forget the double wishbones front and rear. And now, when it comes to body style, of course I want a hatch, but we're going to pick this one specifically because it has this body panel up here, and you guys will see why that's important in a minute. Let's also throw on an early all-wheel drive system, and then finally fit that engine that we just built. Of course, the car has to be a 5-speed, but for a rally car, you only really want a top speed of like 150-ish. So we'll kind of top it out at 145, and then we'll do a viscous LSD to match the all-wheel drive system. The wheels should obviously be some kind of rally compound, and they actually also end up being extremely tiny. I mean, we shouldn't really worry about this because we're just going to be using beam wheels anyway. Then I feel like the brakes should be discs for this point in time, and I also care a lot about stopping power, so I'm going to make them pretty huge and then fit them with super performance related pads. In the design, I'll also throw on a skid tray, so off-road skid tray makes sense here. We will also strip the interior, but of course, to follow regulations, we gotta have the 2 front seats. We're also naturally gonna go with hydraulic steering and no traction aids because I believe they were banned for Group B. Then just the standard suspension, we'll tune it later. I realize I'm the one editing this, but I feel like these builds end up being almost like a step-by-step guide sometimes. Which in this case, starts off with the headlights, then a very 80s grille to match. Looks very period to me. But of course, this car needs to be a rally car. not just a commuter car. So I'm jumping right into massive fender arches, and I'm just going to try and line it up with the bumper there. Speaking of the bumper, I'd like to take a huge chunk out of the bottom here. I think that's started to come together quite nicely. It just needs that little skid tray we mentioned earlier. We'll go ahead and slide that in there. And now that the engine's in the way, we'll go ahead and do that thing that I hinted towards earlier, which is to adjust the Y value in the settings and make this thing mid-engine. I just have to make sure to get it out of the floor and make sure it sits just in front of the rear axle, so it would officially be mid-engine. Alright, now that the front is opened up, let's go ahead and get a hood vent up here. I don't know if there'd be some kind of intercooler up here, but hey, at least it looks cool. Continuing with the thought of aero, finally gonna fix the rear fender arches. It looks a little bit jank right now, but I realized I just needed to straighten it out after I got the grille set in place, and the side is coming together quite nicely. But I do also have to remember that this was once a commuter hatch, so I'm going to go with these very traditional looking taillights. And after making sure they fit well, I also wanted to match the look of the front end with the same exact grille in the rear. I don't know if it's for airflow or not, but frankly, I just like the look of it. It's very reminiscent of the Ferrari Testarossa. Then I also just cut off the rear bumper, and I think the overall shape is really starting to take place here. One of the last shape pieces is going to be a giant wing. I don't really know what's optimal in terms of airflow and downforce on a hatch like this, but it sure does look really cool up top. I think it's supposed to be a WRC wing, but the shape really just fits our hatch's body, so now I'm sticking to it. However, in terms of the wing, I think its best angle is definitely up front, and it just looks really mean from up here. But just looking around, I really should start fixing these rear fenders. And because it's now mid-engine, the engine, of course, needs airflow. For that, I wanted to fit some like air vents under this flap that I placed. And I'll admit, it looks a little ugly, but race cars are built for performance first, and well, this engine's thirsty. I'm cutting ahead a little bit to the livery. I decided to go with a white paint job, and the livery is primarily just a red and black stripe going down the length of the car. Here's a pretty good look at it. And now that it's done, I do actually really like it, but of course it needs more. And that little bit more was just some stripes on that vent flap and some rally identification stickers on the side. However, I still think it felt a little empty, so I threw some brand logos in red just to go along with the team colors. Alright, and back to the engineering. I had to throw in that roll cage so we'd be able to enter the rally. Then of course, every great interior starts at the dashboard, just making sure it fits snug. And then onto the seats, making sure of course they fit and that my driver isn't tucked right up to the dash. And then I usually move on next to the steering wheel, making sure that my driver can see his tachometer through the wheel. And finally, a fully fleshed out interior. It's got all the required safety equipment with no extra pizzazz. And I even threw in a little engine bay for my Peugeot engine back there. With the design work done, here's a little showcase. I did fix the rear arches, just in this video they're covered up for now, but generally this is how it ended up looking, and so let's go ahead and get it in BeamNG. Two quick things to note before we get to the lab. I want to start making these cars that I make available for you all to download and test, but this one is jank. I do like the car, but I don't think you guys want this one. Also, if you play automation and you want to have your builds featured on the channel, I have a Discord, and once we hit enough members, I want to make a little challenge series for you all to compete in, so why not join and try and play along. Alright, we're going to be trying to launch in second here, and immediately off the line, this thing just hooks up. It is fast. Just need to make sure to stop before this first corner. Ooh, it's going to be tight. Yeah. The braking is where we're going to struggle with this thing. And obviously, we make a little bit more power than the Covet, so keeping my lead foot in check should also be a bit of a challenge.
cut.
Alright, coming over the hump here.
70.
Just like the Covet, this thing gets real tail happy.
Over crest. 70.
Ooh, we're on 2 tires.
Don't
Okay,
cut.
stop. Oh, it's gonna hurt.
Into 3
Okay,
right. 30.
that wasn't too bad.
2 right. Don't cut.
I mean, I think after that we lost just as much time as we did in the Covet in that section, so we're good. Just keep pushing. Okay, I gotta remember to slow down a little bit earlier for this corner.
Over crest.
Maybe just use the handbrake throttle, get us through there. And I'm not sure if it's because we're on the same tires, but this car handles a lot like the Covet.
Over crest.
To be fair, they're both mid-engine, similar weight. It checks out.
30.
However, this car skates a lot on dirt.
70.
I really don't feel like I'm pushing it that hard, but
Flat left.
ooh,
80.
it really pulls out to the outside.
Right long tightens.
This thing is
1
sketchy.
left. Don't cut. Narrows. And 4 right.
Trying to keep my line through these fast dirt sections is hard as hell in this car.
5 left.
Staying in third here just to stop myself from pitting into a tree.
Don't cut. And caution.
Yeah, coming through this corner, it feels like even second is too high of a gear.
Caution.
To be fair, from the last time you saw this car, I did space out the gearing quite a bit, so second really is like the new third. But I mean, this car is just plain fast. Really fits the Group B ethos.
Bumpy. 50.
That's to say, it takes a lot of courage to attempt going 10/10ths in this car.
Caution. 3
However, I'm trying to get to the end of this lap, so I will just stick to second gear through here.
Caution. Square left. Over
Remembering for the last lap,
20.
try not to cut this next corner again.
Narrows. Over bump. 4 right.
Oh, I flipped it. Oh, come on. Come on, I'm not letting this one go. Oh my god, I can't believe I just flipped this thing.
90.
Okay, I need to make up that time. But I do need to finish this lap, more importantly.
Into 5 right. 40.
That should be apparent coming up. I really do not want to mess up this next section.
Don't cut.
I've had a lot of troubles here. And then gun it now that we're on the tarmac.
2 left. 200.
Yeah, this thing is fast. Oh, I do need to stop showing off, though. It's not worth screwing something like that up.
30.
The car doesn't really corner fast, but
200.
it's better not to stall like the Covet's lap and just get through here.
Flat left.
That's also another good thing. We start using this car's power to make up time.
30.
This thing is
3 right short.
very much like a Group B car.
50.
Ooh, yep. And the dirt's bad, too. Somehow I made a rally car that just cannot drive off-road. I feel like I really have to hesitate, and that's not a good mindset.
80. 3 left short.
Alright, final section here. Let's just try and take this easy. Really do not want to flip again. It's real easy to do that here.
Over jump. Into 5 right.
Oh my gosh.
1 right.
Why did that meet this road? It's so horrific to drive on. Almost screwed it there. Oh. Almost screwed there again. Just get across the line. Oh,
Very
God.
nice.
Finally.
Stop control.
Alright, you know, frankly, I want to like this car, but somehow I made a rally car that just can't rally. It did also come in slightly slower than the Covet, but they're both Group B style cars, so in my mind, as long as they're close, I'm pretty okay with that. So just let me know down in the comments if you guys want this car available to download. And hey, while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one.